Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's cold. Oh, God. Hey, folks. It's hot outside. So, I'm just back here chilling. This feels really good once you get into it. Anyways, for me, hot means, sorry, you still have to go to work. But for a lot of people, it means, let's go to the beach. And if you're watching this channel, you probably fly paramotors or have an interest in it, which means let's fly a paramotor at the beach. And that's fine if that's your way of cooling down, but the #1 cause of death in the sport of paramotoring is drowning. And that kind of sucks. We're trying to fly in the air, not necessarily drown in the water. So, today, I've got a bit of a video for you. Imagine that. We have 2 offerings from PPG Smoke. Their U-Float and their Dual Float. These are powered floats for paramotors. The Dual Float here can strap onto the harness of a paramotor and has 2 separate bladders. There's 2 of them. Deep inside here is a CO2 cartridge that when you pull this rope or when this little bit touches water, automatically inflates. Further up, if that fails, it also comes with a blow tube. You can huff into it. These are supposed to float your paramotor, not you. These are not life-saving equipment. They're not life preservers, and they are listed as such, and they have warnings that say they will not float a conscious or unconscious person. So don't count on that. If you waterland, you get out of your gear, but this will help you get your gear back and may give you a few extra moments to get free of it all. The U-Float is built much the same as the Dual Float, except it's a U-shape. Go figure. This has 2 separate bladders down the side that are kind of upside down L-shaped, and they inflate upwards and outwards. This one is meant to mount onto your typical welded tube frame of a paramotor, where the Dual Floats can attach to the straps of any harness. It doesn't even have to be a paramotor, you can paraglide with them. They both list the same amount of buoyancy, they both use dual CO2 systems, and they're both separated in half. And unfortunately, this one only works on welded tube frames, which I am not about to throw into my pool. So, as you may have all noticed, I went and bought a pool specifically for this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Today, I'm going to try out the 3 methods of inflation for the Dual Float system. This has the same buoyancy and the same setup as the U-Float system, but this one I can mount onto a paraglider harness that doesn't have an engine on it. That will screw up if it gets wet. Ah, my APCO kiting harness. Now I realize that the kiting harness is not nearly as heavy as a paramotor is, so if you remember those drone videos I did with Brian, where we flew drones into paraglider lines. Oh, Jesus Christ. I still have all the weights from that. This is 50 pounds. No, 47.5 pounds. So I'm gonna throw those weights into my paragliding harness, strap some floats to them, and see if they actually float. Let's get to it. Get yourself flotation if you fly near water. Okay, so I'm gonna take these weights and attach them in the back pocket here to the actual webbing, and hopefully that'll simulate almost the weight of like an Atom 80 paraglider or a super lightweight carbon fiber frame. My parents have a tag in here that says don't do stupid shit. Unfortunately I am in fact doing stupid shit, so apologies. Yep, feels like a paramotor. Yeah, that weight's about right. It's a little low on the back, but what are you gonna do? I'm out here doing stupid shit, so. Okay, now we're gonna install the Dual Floats. So these have 4 Velcros along the back and 2 webbing straps on the top and bottom. We'll try to incorporate all of that. There is a left and right side. They only open in one direction. So this is the right side, this is the left side. If you get them backwards, they're going to inflate airbags right in your face. Wow. That is uncomfortable with all those weights right on my back. I hope you enjoy this video. This hurts. We're gonna go drown in a pool now. And of course, what good would a YouTube video be if it wasn't with a white guy wearing a head strap camera? So, I am going to go face down into this pool and not drown. Shout out to the Boy Scouts of America swimming merit badge, ayy. And I will apologize profusely to APCO for getting their harness wet. But here we go. We're going to see how long these take to inflate. And once they do, if they can actually support my weight plus the paramotor. Okay, here we go. Just gonna fall over. Oh no, I've done something stupid. I've flown my paramotor too low over the water. Ah! That was a weird sound. What is that? Oh my god, my dog's freaking out. Okay. So, question. Does this support the weight of a person plus a paramotor? Wholeheartedly, yes. But not above the water. So if I put all of my weight on it, I'm about 170 pounds today. And the weight of the paramotor, yeah, it'll hold me up. But it'll hold me up face down, which is not fun. Remember, when you land, you're gonna land into the water feet first and go face down. The wing's gonna overshoot you, and you're gonna get face down. And when it deploys on the harness like this, they go up and sideways, which keeps your face down. And if you have a fuel tank, fuel is lighter than water, and it's gonna lift your butt, so you'll be really face down. But this is plenty of flotation. There's a joke here somewhere. Now, if you could roll around, that still wouldn't float you, right? You wouldn't keep your head above water, but these go up and sideways. Yeah, I'm floating with the weight of the paramotor on my back, so. Yeah, it'll absolutely do it. It's got the flotation to do it. It's just the placement. It's not in the right spot. Hey, Kyle O'Glee, is this good content? So that was refreshing. And now I gotta let it dry. So these little things down at the bottom, they're called bobbins. Basically, they've got, covered in sunscreen, they've got a little chunk of salt in them, actually, believe it or not. And that salt, when it dissolves, lets a spring shoot a pin up into the CO2 cartridge and puffed it out. And it worked great. The issue now is, if I put a new one on and it's still wet, it's gonna go off too. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these off, then we're gonna try it the other two ways, with the powered manual, where you pull the cord to shoot the CO2 into the bag, and with the manual tube blown, where you actually have to hoof into it. So, yeah, let's let all this dry out. And now that I know it supports my weight, I'm taking those weights out because that was actually very uncomfortable. It hurt. So sorry if you wanted to see me cry. Not today. All right, PPG Smoke dual floats recharged, but I didn't use the little tabs. They call them bobbins. I didn't put those in there because now I can submerge it and they won't explode on themselves. So I'm going to test it with the pull cords, make sure that still functions. If this camera dies, I'm going to be very sad. I've made a bad decision as a paramotor pilot. Help me, PPG Smoke. All right, while I wait for the other half of the pool to fill up after that, the pull cords, they worked really good. They've got these little green safety clips in them that make it a little hard to pull initially, but after you do, you really yank them. I mean, you pop those suckers. They come right out. So inflation was about the same speed as the water activation. No notes on that. They puff out just the same amount. They use the same CO2 cartridge, right? So it's the same amount of buoyancy. Not enough water yet. Same amount of buoyancy, same firmness. Drum tight. So that's that. Let's deflate them again. By the way, 2 ways to deflate. There's this little nut down here at the bottom that has a one-way Schrader valve, like what's in a tire. And that lets the CO2 float in, but not back out in case this comes unscrewed. Smart move. So you can either squeeze and de-inflate, uninflate, deflate through pushing something in there, like a screwdriver, small pin, and that works fine, but it takes forever. You gotta have a wrench to undo it, yada yada. The other way is the blow tube here. It's also a one-way valve. You can blow into it to inflate, but the actual end of the blow tube is just barely shallow enough you can push it with your finger and just kind of, you know. Woo! It's gotten cold again. Ah, it's like putting new water in it for some reason makes it chilly. Who would have thought? And the last method of deployment is manual. So if this was me, if I was flying, I wouldn't wait to hit the water. When I know I'm gonna hit the water, I take these 2 cords and I go, out they'd come, and start getting unbuckled, and go in and swim free. If these didn't inflate it, I would use manual inflation while still flying. Because obviously once you go underwater, what are you gonna do? Blow water into the tube? No. So you've got to unwrap them and unfurl them. And the tube's up here at top. Hopefully you leave it capped like I didn't. You blow into it. Takes 6 breaths for me. And I've been known as a bit of a full of hot air. So 6 big full breaths for both sides. This takes a second. Cap it again. So it leaks a little bit if you don't get the cap back on, but there are one-way valves. Then we've got the buoyancy. So PPG smoke, dual floats, and by extension the U-float because it's the same system, just a different mount. Would I buy again? Yes, they work great. The refill kits are expensive, so you should like this video. This video cost me $150 worth of CO2, so I hope you guys appreciate it. Maybe share it with somebody who needs some floats. But yeah, they're pretty cheap and they're pretty well made, and there's really no reason not to have them, because, you know, most of us fly 2 strokes, and if you fly low over the water with a 2-stroke, it's kind of asking for it. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. I'm just gonna chill out here.